A growing list of Republicans are vying to run against President Biden in the general election next year. Asa Hutchinson will officially launch his bid for president on Wednesday. CBS News political director Fin Gómez joins us now. Let's begin, Fin, with a part of our trip to Iowa over the weekend. You joined our team. We were talking to former Vice President Pence. We also spoke to Asa Hutchinson.
Well, he would be a very tough opponent if Donald Trump is a nominee. That's their best wish. I think it's terrific that President Biden is announcing whenever his poll numbers are so low. People don't like what he's done with the economy. They don't like what he's done with the border. They don't like what he's done with energy policy. So it's an ideal circumstance for us if we come together and we put the right nominee up against him.
You've been in politics a long time. Is President Biden a formidable political candidate?
Well, he won, and anytime you're an incumbent, you'd have to say it's formidable. And, you know, the Democrat Party is going to rally around him. And so, sure, he's a formidable opponent. You have to take that seriously. That
was an intriguing conversation with the former Arkansas governor who's announcing this week, because so many Republicans today, on the day the president announces his reelection, they are trashing the president's political record, his policies. Hutchinson is saying could be pretty formidable.
Right, exactly. I mean, I think also that he is acknowledging that Donald Trump is a formidable candidate. I think that he is, for his, expected, well, not expected, he's going to announce tomorrow officially, formally jumping into the race from his base in Bentonville, Arkansas. I think he has, as we have discussed, like a pretty uphill climb, and I think he sees that Donald Trump is in his way as he is in the majority of the rest of the field.
The Biden campaign, what do you make of the leadership of this newly announced campaign?
I think it's well respected. I've been speaking to Democratic operatives throughout the week, both in Biden world and outside of Biden world, who say they come with a lot of respect. Julie Chavez Rodriguez was the former 2020 deputy campaign manager for Biden and Harris. She's close to Harris. She was part of her campaign as the traveling chief of staff, as a senior advisor to her. So, and she also has a long political experience from the campaign trail to the White House, from California. I think there's a lot of respect, and I think they know that they have somewhat of a daunting task if you look at the latest poll numbers, but they feel strong and they feel comfortable in their abilities to challenge whomever.
Seems like Vice President Harris and her people have a real seat at the table with this campaign.
They do. And if you notice, I mean, she's really, in speaking to Democratic operatives close to the White House, they have noted that she has really really has found her voice, if you will, when it comes to the abortion rights issue. And she's speaking tonight, as we know. But also, she has been at the forefront of this. And I think for this, upcoming campaign for the reelect, it gives somewhat of a strong position for her. It's going to be a major issue throughout the cycle.
Meanwhile, in the Republican race, former President Trump taking real shots at Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Let's take a look.
Ron DeSantis was struggling big time in his primary race for governor of Florida. Polls revealed DeSantis was failing so bad, he was losing by a staggering 17 points. Then DeSantis was saved by the endorsement of President Trump. Trump's support was so powerful, just 2 days after the endorsement, DeSantis took a commanding lead, and it propelled him to being elected governor.
Does this all keep DeSantis out of the race?
No, I do not believe so. But I mean, that's a pretty brutal campaign ad, and we can confirm. CBS News can confirm. I just spoke to the Trump campaign just before I came on, and that they have made their official first ad buy for this ad, this well-produced ad that hits DeSantis really hard, right in the chin.
Where are they making the buy?
Still getting that information. I've asked the campaign for more information on that. Likely cable buy is what I'm hearing, but it's the first major one. MAGA Inc., their super PAC, has made some previous purchases this cycle, about $5 million. It's going to be a pretty big buy is what I'm told.
Whether it's Asa Hutchinson or Ron DeSantis, debate stages will be a real opportunity for candidates to square off with Trump. But will Trump even show up at the debates?
I mean, that's the thing. We're hearing news. He came out on Truth Social today saying that that he is not committed to anything, which is kind of sort of causes a bit of some upheaval and uproar from the campaign trail in rival camps. What if he doesn't show up to the first debate? What if he doesn't show up to the second? It's reminiscent of that 2016 debate in Iowa where everyone was waiting for him to show up and he never did. And that's just, it's so much of this is dependent upon the former president. So what happens? I mean, who will watch if there's no Donald Trump at these debates? It's really a big question, and it puts the RNC and Ronna McDaniel in a tough position, a tough corner.
Hard to see him resisting the opportunity to go before all the cameras and the press. Fin Gómez, thank you.